Hi there, my name is Hayden Scorange. I am from New Zealand and I am a chartered accountant here in New Zealand. I've been asked a few questions and hopefully I give some good answers. Please let me know if they're not suitable. So the first question is, how long is the process of opening a company in New Zealand? This is a very, very simple process. It's a matter of going to a website, just companiesregister.companiesoffice.govt.nz. You can firstly select or reserve a name for your company. You can do this whether you want to go ahead and set up that company at that point, or whether you want to set up the company in the future, but you want the name to be locked in place so no one else can set up a company under the name that you would like. Once you've decided on your company name and you've reserved it, and you have decided on who's going to be a director and who's going to be the shareholders, all you need to do is go back to the company's website, and with a few clicks of the mouse, and it's under $200 to do this, you can have a company set up within half an hour, which I think is pretty impressive. It's the process of closing down a company is much harder than it is setting one up, and there's very limited checks in places. If you are a New Zealander, you just need your driver's license number, simple things like that, and proof of ID, which can just be your driver's license as well. Next part of this question is, what taxes do you have to pay? The New Zealand tax system is quite complex. There is some simple parts to it, which being income tax, easily explained as if you make any income, you have to pay tax. So this includes companies and it includes individuals or trusts. There's pretty much no getting away from income tax. The next one that would apply to a company would be if their sales are over $60,000, they have to register for GST. So that being goods and services tax. They can choose to register for GST even if their sales are under 60,000, but they don't have to. Following on from this, there is employee tax that you would have to pay on behalf of your employees if you were employing staff. That's called PAYE, or pay as you earn. There is a number of other taxes, but I won't go into it. They apply to specific scenarios, so if you find yourself in a certain scenario, you end up getting taxed because of it. But as I said, I won't go too in depth into that. The next question is, how does the retirement system work in New Zealand, and do I like the retirement system? Now, contrary to our complex tax legislation, the retirement system is possibly the most simplistic one in the world. It's purely once you turn 65, but that's soon to go up to 67, you're entitled to receive superannuation. Now this is regardless of whether you have worked every day until you're 65, soon to be 67, or whether you've never worked a day in your life. You're entitled to the superannuation. Admittedly, it's not a huge amount of money, but it's still it's decent. It's for it's money for essentially nothing, or it's money for a career of taxes worked. So I do like our retirement system because it is very, very simple. But the thing that I don't like about it is that I think that it should be means tested. That being, if you have substantial wealth, or if you're still earning income over a certain level, if you've got a property portfolio or a number of shares and investments that you earn decent money from, you potentially don't need the pension or superannuation, and therefore just because you're a certain age doesn't mean that you should be entitled to it. And I can see that being the case when I end up being this age. It'll probably be 70 by the time I get to retirement age, but I believe it would have changed quite a lot. The next question is, what would you change in your country related to the economy and or politics? I don't really like the way how our government is selected. Currently, you don't have to have the most amount of votes for you to be selected in government. I won't go too much into detail of this, but if you do want more detail, you can Google, obviously in New Zealand, MMP versus FPP, and that is mixed member proportional versus first past the post. Now, at the moment, we use MMP, I believe, and it's all to do with how many votes your party get, not potentially you. So someone might vote for, say, Brazil, but the New Zealand representative didn't get any votes, but they can still get voted in. It's really confusing how it works, but and not something that I'm a big fan of. Nextly, what do you think that another country has that you would like to take to New Zealand? Other than we are just about to come into winter here in New Zealand, and I live in Dunedin, which is quite far at the south of New Zealand, we probably will not see temperatures above 20 for a good few months, so it would be quite nice to have some nice weather. But referring to the questions, I suppose, being around tax and accounting, I believe New Zealand should have a capital gains tax. So that being, if you buy and sell, say, property or shares, you are taxed on the gain of these. New Zealand's recently introduced a partial capital gains tax, but that's only if you sell and buy property within 2 years. I'd like to see this extended to, as I said, all assets and all timeframes, but I wouldn't, or I'd have a specific clause to exclude the family home, because I don't believe you should be taxed on your house, and there are certain circumstances that may mean that you need to sell your house within 2 years or buy a new one, and you shouldn't have to pay tax on this regardless. Now, lastly, comment something interesting about New Zealand that you think that you might not know. One thing that I really enjoy about New Zealand is I like getting outdoors, I like exploring, I like going through the bushes, I like tramping and things like that. In New Zealand we have nothing on land that will eat you, bite you, kill you. It's very safe to travel around in areas there, swampy areas. There's no crocodiles, there's no snakes in the forestry, in the bushes, there's no spiders. We don't have any jaguars or tigers or anything crazy like that. We've got sharks in the water, that's about as serious as it gets. So I really enjoy New Zealand because it's very safe, and you can explore as much as you like. Just be prepared for that colder weather though. Hopefully that's helped answer all your questions. Feel free to get hold of me if you have any more. Thank you. Bye bye.